Hello everyone, I am Ivy the Occultist, and today I'm going to talk about eclectic witchcraft versus chaos magic because I have gotten this question quite a bit. What is the difference? It seems on a superficial level that these two practices are very similar, when in fact they are not. So today we're going to be talking about the nuances because every time I get this question, I don't really get a chance to fully explain those nuances. And so this is the video. This is the video that I am now going to direct everyone to when there are questions about eclectic witchcraft versus chaos magic. Now, I do want to put a couple disclaimers on this video, of course, as we begin, that these practices are always evolving with culture. I mean, what we defined as witchcraft 50 years ago may not be what we define witchcraft today, and vice versa with chaos magic. Things evolve over time with the culture. And I also can't speak on behalf of all chaos magicians everywhere. So this video is going to be heavily based on my own gnosis, my own experiences within the community, what I have seen. This is a very, very complicated topic that no one seems to want to tackle. So I'm going to try my best to tackle it. And one final disclaimer, and then I promise we will get into the subject at hand. If you are stumbling into this video and you have no idea what chaos magic even is, I'm going to link two videos down in the description box for you. I have one video that discusses what is chaos magic. It goes into a very brief history as well as the 6 guidelines proposed by Phil Hine in his book Condensed Chaos, so you can get a better understanding of what chaos magic even is to begin with. And then the second video that I'm going to link below is chaos magic and the avoidance of dogmatism, because that first principle or guideline is really the most difficult for people to grasp when they start getting into chaos magic. So that video deep dives into that one specific aspect of chaos magic. So I highly recommend you watch both of those videos before watching the rest of this video. It will clear up a lot of things for you. So let's talk briefly about some of the similarities, because people look at eclectic witchcraft and they look at chaos magic and they say, well, both magical practices really kind of pick and choose a lot of different magical traditions or techniques. They have a lot of different influences from different cultures, and really the idea is to build a magical practice that best fits the magical practitioner, because we are all very, very different. And obviously one person's way of practicing magic may not work for someone else's way of practicing magic. So that's kind of the similarities at first glance looking at these two magical traditions. And where it gets complicated is that some eclectic witches may be chaos magic practitioners as well, and vice versa. Some chaos magic practitioners may be eclectic witches like myself, though not always. And that is why we're going into this topic. Let's start with what is eclectic witchcraft. And this is going to be extremely difficult to define, so I am going to do my best to keep it as short and concise as possible. An eclectic witchcraft practice takes a lot of different ideas and inspiration from a lot of witchcraft traditions, because there's many different ways to practice witchcraft. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to know is that it's still witchcraft. And witchcraft is one system of magic of many systems of magic in the occult world. So if you are brand new to the occult world, yes, there is much more out there than just witchcraft. There's ceremonial magic, which has its own whole subsection of different magical traditions. There's shamanic styles of practicing magic. There are so many different forms of magical traditions, and I think because witchcraft is so popular, people assume that all magic is witchcraft, and that's not necessarily true. There are many different forms. If you are not familiar with the terms low magic versus high magic, I also encourage you to look into that a little bit further as well, because I do think it kind of helps build a better perspective in the context of this conversation. So I'm going to go over low magic versus high magic just briefly, but please definitely do your own research if you are not familiar with these terms. So witchcraft could be considered a low magic practice. And when I say low magic versus high magic, some people automatically assume that low magic must be bad and high magic must be good, and because of the terminology of low and high, but that's actually not true at all. They're completely different styles of practicing magic, and it has nothing to do with one being higher or better than the other one. What it pertains to is different styles of magic as well as different goals in a magical practice. So with low magic, when we're talking about witchcraft, low magic tends to be more like folk magic, the magic of the people. It is grounded and rooted in the culture, and it is generally concerned with improving our existence here in this mundane world. So it's very practical. Examples of low magic would be like protection magic, money spells, love spells, doing a house blessing or a house cleansing. All of these magical workings are with the goal to improve our place in this mundane reality, to really improve our quality of life. Because that's really what it's about with low magic, is improving quality of life. And as far as the style of low magic goes, it's very ecstatic and very free, which differs greatly from high magic, because high magic is considered typically ceremonial magic. It is very, very regimented and structured. The goal of high magic really is more to commune with some sort of higher power to achieve some sort of spiritual enlightenment. And I say those terms very, very loosely because there are so many different traditions of ceremonial magic or high magic. So examples of high ceremonial magic would be working with these celestial entities. There's a huge aspect of planetary magic that is considered high magic when done in a more traditional way, I guess. And so with high magic, you get into traditions like Solomonic magic. That would be a really great example. So you can start to see, if you're brand new to the occult world, that witchcraft is just one single magical tradition of many. There are so many different styles, and that's going to be really important to remember as we go along in this video. So let's talk about chaos magic and how chaos magic kind of fits into that whole world of low magic versus high magic, of witchcraft and folk magic practices versus high magic ceremonial styles of practicing magic. Chaos magic is really difficult to define because it innately rejects any sort of dogma and it rejects limitations. So trying to define chaos magic is really trying to put a label on something that doesn't want to be labeled. But if we had to attempt to define it, again, I'm not going to go into the nuances of that. You can check out my What is Chaos Magic video. But ultimately what it comes down to is chaos magic is not necessarily a magical tradition in its own right. Although technically I could argue this as well, but I'm not going to try to confuse anybody today, because in my own personal world, I actually do kind of believe it's its own magical tradition in its own right. But I just don't want to confuse anyone today, so just know that that is also nuanced. But what I'm trying to say is that chaos magic is not necessarily its own magical tradition in a traditional sense. It's more of a way of looking at how magic works. So chaos magic is all about using your own belief as a tool for manifestation. So you can practice witchcraft from a chaos magic perspective. You can practice ceremonial magic from a chaos magic perspective. You can practice shamanic styles of magic from a chaos magic perspective. And the chaos magic part is really about using your belief as that tool to manifest what you want. So for example, let's take two witches. The first witch is an eclectic witch that does not practice from a chaos magic perspective. The second one is an eclectic witch that does practice from a chaos magic perspective. And let's say both of these eclectic witches are working with Kali. Let's just use a goddess as a good example of this. So the first eclectic witch working with Kali that does not operate from the chaos magic perspective may believe that Kali actually exists as some sort of objective reality. Maybe they believe that Kali exists in some sort of lower world or upper world. Maybe Kali is a completely separate entity. Whatever it is, this eclectic witch may believe that there is some sort of objective truth that yes, Kali does exist. Now we have the other witch here who is an eclectic witch working with Kali, who is operating from the chaos magic perspective. And this eclectic witch doesn't necessarily believe that Kali is some sort of objective truth or some sort of external being in some lower world or upper world. What that practitioner believes is that their belief in Kali is what makes Kali real. Because from my perspective as a chaos magician and also an eclectic witch, it is impossible for us to experience the universe in an objective way to even be able to claim that there's an objective truth in the first place. And again, this is my own opinion as a chaos magician, and thus why I resonate with chaos magic so much. I don't personally believe in any objective truth because I don't feel like we are personally capable of experiencing that. I think that our experiences are very subjective and through our own personal lenses. The only way that humans can experience reality is through a very subjective way. And so chaos magicians typically believe that it's the belief in something that makes it real. So for example, if I believe in the Christian God, that Christian God is real in my reality because I personally believe in it and it's real to me. And vice versa, if someone else out there does not believe in the Christian God, but they believe Kali is a real goddess, then that is real in their reality reality because of their belief in that. So it's almost kind of like we are walking in our own dimensions that overlap each other constantly, because what's happening in my subjective universe is very different than what's happening in your subjective universe. And the only thing that we really have to go off of is our own personal belief, because there is no way to experience this world in an objective manner. So going back to what I said about you can practice witchcraft and be a chaos magician, you can practice ceremonial magic and be a chaos magician, that chaos magic perspective is really just about the belief part, how you perceive magic actually working. Now I want to shift into another aspect of chaos magic that really differentiates it from eclectic witchcraft, and that is paradigm jumping or paradigm shifting. Eclectic witches may do this on occasion, but there is really a heavy emphasis in chaos magic to continuously paradigm shift or paradigm jump. You don't necessarily have to if you don't want to, because chaos magic is kind of no rules. You make your own practice. If you find something that works efficiently for you, then go for it. But there really is this encouragement to paradigm shift. And what do I mean when I say paradigm shift? I should probably define that a little bit further, just in case somebody's not familiar with that term. But that basically means changing perspectives constantly, shifting from one magical tradition to another magical tradition, continuously taking diverse approaches and really getting outside of the box. So jumping from witchcraft to some sort of weird form of ceremonial magic, you know, whatever, shifting your framework frequently. And the whole idea behind this, why you want to do this, is because it strengthens your ability to believe in the reality that you desire. And this is something I can't quite articulate to another person unless they've actually done it. I swear there is something that happens to your brain, and I don't know if it's a deconditioning thing, because we do have a lot of brainwashing from our society, from our childhood, from people telling us stuff growing up, and it shapes who we are. And so you kind of get to work with your ego in this way to kind of decondition and figure out what actually works for you and what doesn't. You get to deconstruct and take all that brainwashing out, and there's something that happens in the process of paradigm jumping that it rewires your brain. That's the only way I can explain it to another person. And I know that that is a bold statement, but I'm just talking about my own perspective as a chaos magician. This is what I've personally experienced. When I was practicing eclectic witchcraft, before I really went deep into chaos magic, I would do spells, I would do, you know, a bunch of random things that worked for me. I kind of had like just a very eclectic practice, right? Because that's part of it. And I would be doing these spells, and I would still kind of have doubts though. Like when I cast a spell, I was like, did it work? I'm not really sure. I hope it worked. There was still a lot of doubt there. I mean, I was confident in my abilities, but I always had this little voice in my head of, oh, I hope my spell works out. I'm not really sure. But then once I shifted and got deeper into chaos magic and really actually pushed myself to paradigm jump and to really shift from all these magical traditions, something happened to my brain, and I don't know how to explain it, but I feel so confident in my belief now. If I do something, I know it will manifest. Without a doubt, I know that whatever spell work I do, it is going to come to fruition. And having that level of confidence and the ability to believe things into manifestation is an incredible practice to have. I mean, okay, let's be real. I am a human being. There are some times where I still doubt myself, but it's more of like a self-esteem thing, okay? It's not nearly as often as when I was practicing just eclectic witchcraft. And I'm just being honest here with my practice. I really feel like paradigm jumping has made me so much more confident in my abilities, so much more confident in using my belief as a tool to manifest what I desire and to be able to manipulate my own reality and create what I want. Again, I'm human, okay? I'm not like a super powered, I don't know what, okay? So I still have flaws, of course, but I can tell you from personal experience that the paradigm shifting really has done something different to my brain. And again, can't articulate that to another person. You just have to experience it yourself. And the last thing that I want to say about chaos magic versus eclectic witchcraft is there is a sense of efficiency with chaos magic, as in, I'm not necessarily saying eclectic witchcraft isn't efficient by any means, but in chaos magic, it's heavily encouraged to find the most efficient way of practicing magic, to cut out all the garbage, all the dogma, anything that's unnecessary, cut it out. Make it the most streamlined, effective magical practice as possible. And with eclectic witchcraft, some people may enjoy efficiency and want to make their magical practice as efficient as possible. Some people don't really care about efficiency. So it's really not like as heavy of a focus with eclectic witchcraft that I've found versus chaos magic. We are very rational about things. We are looking for the fastest, easiest, best way to manifest. And I'm sure there are going to be many differences across many different practitioners because eclectic witchcraft practitioners are so diverse and chaos magic practitioners are so diverse. So it's really hard to categorize them and define them in this way. That's why I tried to be as broad as possible, but just know that the practice is going to vary from practitioner to practitioner in each of these groups. So I hope that that clarifies the question, what is the difference between chaos magic and eclectic witchcraft? If you are a chaos magician, you would like to add your own advice or some other differences that you have seen, please feel free to comment them below. I'm sure that I missed some. I mean, again, only human, not perfect, so please feel free to add in your own advice as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in another video soon. Bye everyone.